I started definitely not from any inheritance. Started from a family of immigrants that came to the United States from Jamaica. Both my parents are from Jamaica. And I grew up in affordable housing, which is really low income housing. And from that point on, I was able to just kind of learn different techniques, different things that I needed to advance myself and also work very hard. So from that.
Before we start, it's important to mention that we are streaming live from South Africa, but with us online are guests from all over the African continent. So it's only common courtesy for me to make mention of a few of them who are attending and who have registered. So a special warm welcome to those from Avondale, Harare, Zimbabwe. Excuse me if my pronunciation is wrong. In attendance, we've got some from Gaborone, Botswana, Blantyre, Malawi, and our neighboring Lesotho. We have a guest from Maseru, and Monrovia, Liberia. And as mentioned, we have a special guest speaker from the United States by the name of Donahue Baker. So he's going to share with us his entrepreneurial journey.
How are you? Could you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Oh,
awesome. Good. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Good morning or good evening. Oh, the time zone.
Yeah. No, actually, before you carry on, the time it's about 9:45 for us in South Africa. However, Donahue had to make a lot of sacrifice in order to make himself available for this conference. You'll now tell us exactly what time it is. What time is it that side, Donahue?
It is 3:40 in the morning. So
wow.
So AM, yeah.
3:40 in the morning. No, we really appreciate you making the time to come through and share your insights with us. But I just also wanted to commend you on the fact that you're making yourself available at 3:40 in the morning. You don't need to do this, yet you made yourself available so that those who are in attendance can benefit the most from this. But for me personally, when I see you making such an effort, it just shows the pedigree of the entrepreneur that you are. And that in itself is a lesson to entrepreneurs. I don't want to mention your finances, but I mean, you've made millions of dollars. When we convert that to African currency, it's quite a lot. So you don't need to really speak, but the entrepreneurial drive that you have allows you to be able to get up at 3 in the morning to be able to converse with us. And we appreciate that. And even for the audience, if you are endeavoring to enter into entrepreneurship, you need to have this drive that Donahue is displaying. So thank you very much, Donahue, for making the time to avail yourself to speak to us.
Well, thank you for having me. And I really, since I heard about the event and was offered to be a part of it, I definitely commend you and the whole organization to put this together. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Donahue. Just to get started, I'd like to ask you more about this fintech bank that you are starting. But before we get there, what is your journey? Because some people in the audience may think, well, Donahue had it all. He comes from perhaps a good family who gave in an inheritance to be able to start the enterprises that he did. Do you mind please sharing with us just your background in terms of where you come from and how you got to your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. So I started definitely not from any inheritance. Started from a family of immigrants that came to the United States from Jamaica. Both my parents are from Jamaica. And I grew up in affordable housing, which is really low income housing. And from that point on, I was able to just kind of learn different techniques, different things that I needed to advance myself and also work very hard. So from that point on, I went on to university. I went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And when I got to Georgetown, I was surrounded by what I would call people that I thought had a tremendous advantage. But I was able to learn. And one thing that I really love about America, being in America, is it's a country that provides tremendous opportunity if you're willing to work hard. And that's exactly what I did. So from college, I actually got involved in the music industry. I started, which is still my passion, but love music. Got involved in music. I had some success in music a little bit. I'm a Grammy-nominated producer. And from that point on, I noticed that my peers who were doing music, when they got a kind of quote unquote big check, they took that money and they bought things like cars, jewelry, vacations, things like that. What I did with my money was purchase real estate. And the very first purchase that I made was a duplex. So I lived in one house. Could you guys hear me?
Yes, you're coming through clearly.
Okay. So the very first purchase I made in real estate was a duplex. So I lived in one side and rented out the other side, but I still had a job while I was working. And one of the things that allowed me to do was take most of the income that I was working for and basically invest it and live kind of rent-free. So in America, the number one expense that most people have is usually their rent or their mortgage payment. And I was able to basically, following that strategy, I was able to live rent-free. And that allowed me to basically get more resources to invest in more real estate. So I gradually, every single year, I doubled the amount of units that I owned. So I went from a duplex, then I bought a fourplex, then I bought like a sixplex, and eventually it got to the point where I just had this passive income where I was the passive income exceeded the active income that I went to work for, right? And at that particular point in time, I left my job and started to focus on building businesses and being an entrepreneur. And that's kind of how the journey to open a fintech bank started. And that's where we are today. I have a portfolio of over 500 units. And through that, and through Money Ave, what I do, and what Money Ave does, is we want to be a pipeline for other entrepreneurs to get access to capital. And we help entrepreneurs to start businesses. We help entrepreneurs. We invest in businesses as well. We also have invested in 21 startups. And we also have a fund that helps entrepreneurs to go from ideation, which is just the idea of a startup, all the way to a Series A funding, which we have venture capitalists that will invest money in their businesses. So I think that is something that is just a passion of mine right now. I feel really, really fortunate that I am in an area in which tremendous amount of wealth is being created, and I want that wealth to be disseminated to our community as well. And that is really throughout the whole diaspora, and from Africa to the Caribbean to the United States. It's really getting the population of really Blacks to be a part of that wealth movement. And that's why I wanted to take the time to come and talk to those interested in entrepreneurship, so I can engage and really make that connection from all over the continent. And we're joined by, I know, a couple people actually from Africa, but also from the UK and the Caribbean as well.
Fantastic, Donahue. So I'm just interested in your mindset. You mentioned that you were a producer, Grammy nominated. You made a few profit from that, and then your mindset was to invest in property. What gave you that mindset to invest in property instead of just splurging? Were you reading something?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that I realized is that at a very early age, I realized that, you know, people that created generational wealth did it one of two ways. The first way is through real estate. People that created generational wealth, that was able to have this wealth and pass it on to their children, they own real estate. The other way that I noticed was that they own businesses. So it was one of two ways, either real estate or business. And I thought that real estate had the lowest barrier to entry because anyone can purchase real estate. All you really need is the access to the funds, the capitals, and the know-how to manage it. So that is why I chose the real estate route, and I did it at an early age. And one of the things, the great things about real estate is if you can purchase a property and basically allow the tenants to pay for the mortgage, right? You can, if you have enough units, you can allow the tenants to basically pay for the cost of the asset, and the asset will appreciate over time. So that was just something, observation that I said, this is what I wanted to do. And this is what I basically followed. This is the path that I followed.
Wow. Absolute gems. We really appreciate that insight that you're sharing with us. Donahue, you also made mention of the fact that you invest in startups to some extent. And so most of the individuals in attendance today would like some form of investment into their business. So I'd just like to ask you, firstly, do you think it's advisable for entrepreneurs to start off seeking funding to get their businesses started? What do you recommend, or what do you think?
Right. So one of the things that the companies that we invest in, one of the things that we want to see is an idea that can be scaled, right? And when I say scaled, I'm talking about something that could impact the world in some aspect. It could be socioeconomic. It could be something that either solves a problem that we can help people on a larger scale, right? And 9 times out of 10, that's going to be related to technology. So we look at these companies that we've invested in, companies that are really looking to change things in terms of, like, even with Money Avenue, what we're looking to do is provide more access to capital to entrepreneurs that don't have the means to start. So at Money Avenue, we have a particular program through our business credit department. What we do is we provide $50,000 of business credit for every entrepreneur that sets up their business the right way, right? And that business credit is established through their business. It has no connection to their personal credit. And a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly in the US, what they do is they leverage their personal credit. And we all know that 90% of startups usually fail. So what happens is they damage their personal credit, and that affects their family. So we've come up with a solution to say, well, look, if you set up your business this way, and we help them do this step by step, if you set up your business this way, through the bank, we're able to leverage the credit of the business based on revenues and able to give them a line of credit to either scale their business, prove a concept, a business model, or to grow. You know, that's basically how most businesses grow. And through that, we're able to help them with, if we find a business that grows rapidly, we're able to help them with another mechanism that comes from venture capitalism, right? So one of the members on our board is really the premier African-American real estate developer in America. His name is Donahue Baker. He's a billionaire, and he's also on our board, and he has a fund that invests in, through his fund, we also partnered with him to invest in startups and things like that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. And in terms of the US, they are the leading economy, and it's good to get strategies, especially financial strategies around how to maneuver in business. I have a question to ask you, which relates to an interesting aspect that you mentioned in terms of a business finance. I once saw your interview, and you gave a tip that I think would be practical in terms of the entrepreneurs. I'll just sort of summarize the gist of what I heard. You just correct me if I'm wrong, but you basically said it's important for you to have your business bank, and if you have multiple businesses, then you what's the word, you funnel the funds in between your businesses, and then an investor, when they want to invest in your business, they look at your credit and how and the activity of your bank account in general. I don't know if you remember specifically that part. Can you speak more to that, please?
Sure. Well, one of the things is I am a CPA as well, which is a certified public accounting. So a lot of it is understanding how to leverage your business to get maximum amount of capital, right? So the way to do it, and the way that we tell our entrepreneurs to do it, is understanding that you have to remove yourself from business. Like when you set your business up, you should have a separate legal entity. So the way that we do it through Money Ave is we try to tell them that when you get a check, the check should, from the business, the check should go into a business account. Now, that business account should be completely in the name of the business and not affiliated with any other business. So you have maybe a holding company, it goes into a business account, but from that business account, you should have a tax account separate. You should have a business operating account from which the business operates and pays expenses, and then have another account, which would be a personal account. And that way you pay yourself. You let the business take care of the business expenses, you pay yourself, and you set aside funds for taxes. It's just a structure, right? So that was one of the things. Now, if you're able to do that, and there's no limit on the number of businesses you can have, you can leverage. You can have multiple businesses, right? So one of the ways in which I was able to purchase a multi-million-dollar apartment complex was I basically set up a number of LLCs, a number of businesses, and was able to leverage the business credit of each individual LLC. And in the US, we can purchase real estate for sometimes 10% loan to value, which means that I'm only bringing maybe 10% of the purchase price of the asset. Prime example would be if a property would cost $10 million, I would need to raise $1 million, and the rest would be financed through a bank. So just to give you an example, that's pretty much the structure that you would have to do something like that. So that was maybe what you heard. If I'm off base, let me know if I answered your question or not. But that's just the structure that we try to help help all of our clients set up.
No, absolutely. You're on point, Donahue. That's quite valuable insight. I appreciated the information when I first heard it, and I appreciate it even more now that you reiterated it and you delved a bit deeper into it. Thank you very much for that. So now I wanted to share with the audience, especially from an African perspective. Sometimes we tend to lag back in terms of technology. Artificial intelligence, automation, digitization, those are the three key aspects which allow businesses to thrive, especially if you look at the COVID period. There was a period where people were not allowed to go to work anymore. And so if you're operating a business, that puts you at a negative. And so one of the businesses that I found from a South African perspective that thrived in COVID time were businesses that had artificial intelligence, automation, and digitization. And so one of the businesses that take the lead with regard to this is fintech banks. So with fintech banks, for those who perhaps do not know it, but from an African perspective, especially South Africa, I can make an example of a fintech organization by the name of, anyway, I'll just remember the name now. So they partner with all the major banks in South Africa. They assist the major banks because in terms of the major banks, they're not as flexible as fintechs are. And so if you perhaps want to buy something online by EFT, the fintech bank allows you to easily purchase a product online. So you can imagine during lockdown, a lot of the companies who did not have such systems in place in terms of online payments, they couldn't receive funds, but the fintechs were providing that service, which is a service similar to what you provide at Money Avenue, allows you to thrive regardless of the economy. So my question to you is, how important is artificial intelligence, automation, and digitization in terms of the entrepreneurial approach?
It's very important, right? It's very important, and for me, it's important because that is going to be the future. And if you don't have the financial literacy to understand what's going on, you're going to be left behind. So one of the things that we all have to realize is that going today, if you have a business, whatever business that it is, understand that your business has to have a technology component. You have to have a fintech component in what you're doing in some respect, whatever business it is. Coming from a situation in which I grew up in low income housing, I think that there's a level in society that if you're not able to speak the language of money, you're going to get left behind, right? If you don't have the financial literacy, you're going to get left behind. So I just think that at this day and age, we have to be able to have the ability to use technology to scale our businesses and use the internet the same way that we're communicating right here. This is a global market, right? And if one of the way that I would kind of offer for those that have businesses and that are looking to scale their businesses, I would tell you that in the US, we are always looking for companies that are able to reach large number, that solves a problem, number one, companies that solve a problem, but also companies that solve a problem on a large scale, right? A company that has the ability to grow and affect the lives of lots of people, right? So in the US, right now in Silicon Valley, there's tremendous amount of wealth that's being created that's investing in companies worldwide. A lot of the people, like even the bigger companies, the unicorn companies, have come from really the international markets. You know, even you know, people think of Elon Musk and, you know, other really foreigners that have come to the US and really built these huge companies, and sometimes in the space of, you know, 3 to 4 years. The thing that we have to realize is just focusing on what your business does and how could you scale your business, right? And how could you use technology to scale your business? How could you use the internet to scale your business? How could you partner with other people doing similar things to scale your business? And that's part of what I teach. I'm also a professor at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. That's part of what we show the young people, how to tap into that. But there's tremendous amount of opportunities worldwide for other entrepreneurs to do that as well.
Fantastic. There's a question from one of the guests. We'll ask you that one later, but basically just to reiterate what the question says, it says, what is the name of the fund for the startups you mentioned, and how to contact the top managers? Anyway, no, we'll get to that part towards the end in terms of how people can get a reach of the organization.
Yep.
So yeah, so Donahue, I have one more, well, a few more questions for you. But in terms of, you already spoke about the importance of financial education. You say you're a CPA. What motivated you to go into that field? You could have chosen perhaps marketing or technology. What motivated you to go into being a CPA? I'm not sure what the equivalent of the South African version is, but we get the gist of it. It's like a chartered accountant. Yes, something like a chartered accountant. What motivated you to go into that field?
Yeah, understanding that the language of money. So understanding the language of money, I think that accounting is the language of money. And it transfers whatever industry you're in, understanding how to interpret financial statements, how to look at a business and analyze its profitability. That is what led me to really further my study in accounting and ultimately become a CPA. That's at the bottom of it. You know, I wanted to understand business. I wanted to understand the language of money. That is one of the tenets of being a CPA.
Fantastic. Now, last year, well, we're still living in COVID at the moment, but in terms of your businesses, how were you able to maneuver in the COVID period? What strategies did you have in place to ensure that your business didn't suffer severely?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? So our business through COVID actually took off. So we started in 2019, starting the banking and the lending portion of our business. And when COVID came, it really came in 2020, March of 2020, really shut the country down. Through that period, we've been able to take our business and operate completely in the digital space. And because of that, we've been able to rank out of the top 5,000 companies in the US, we're ranked 199 in our space. We're the 9th fastest growing fintech. And it's really a testament to the internet. And it's really a testament to technology that if you're able to move your business online, you can function completely 100% in that digital space. So I just want to let everyone know and encourage them that you really don't, in this day and age, have a business unless you're able to operate completely in that digital space. And the reason why is because If you take a competitor of somebody that is not operating online or in the digital space, they're going to blow you out the water, right? So there's no comparison. You have to, as an entrepreneur in this day and age, be able to utilize the internet. And COVID, the post-COVID world is going to be completely different, because we're seeing record profits from companies, and we're seeing people that are working remotely now. Like it's a whole new era. And we know that 70% of all jobs can, and probably at some point in time will be eliminated through automation, through technology. So we have to be able to adapt. And I think that we're going into a new era, and hopefully we can move with the era. Hopefully we can educate our communities and move with it and figure out how we can all share in the economic impact, so that we can take advantage of just, to me, is a tremendous wealth making opportunity that is taking place. And I'm really would just want to encourage as many entrepreneurs to take advantage of it.
Fantastic practical advice. We really appreciate that. Well, I'm just interested to know, in terms of the businesses in the US, not just yours specifically. I know it's a question that's a little bit unplanned, but in terms of what you have seen, in terms of your colleagues who are business people, how did COVID affect them?
Well, COVID, and that's a great question, by the way, because depending on what part of the country, I think that some parts of the country were kind of locked down a little more than other parts of the country. Like we went to Miami, and it was like, a lot of people just, it was like it had no effect. But then I lived in the New York region, and we had businesses closed, we had schools closed. So I just, it was a kind of like a mixed bag, so to speak. But I have friends in business that were hurt. I have in the real estate business, lots of my friends were suffering because tenants, there's a moratorium where tenants were not required. You couldn't evict the tenants that didn't pay rent. So a lot of landlords were affected by that. So the bottom line is, though, we're going through a global pandemic, and it's hitting all of us hard to some extent. So I've seen both sides of the coin, in terms of, I've seen entrepreneurs that took the opportunity to turn their business around and make it available online, and done really well through COVID. And I've seen others that have not really been able to do the same, and their business suffered as a result. So kind of like a mixed bag. But I would like to ask the question to you: how is COVID affecting? How is that mission been? Because we see on the news what's going on right now all over the world. Of late, India seems to be getting a lot of media coverage, but I've also heard of situations in Africa about the vaccine not being available in certain areas. So I would like to know, maybe you can help me understand what has been the impact in Africa.
Well, in terms of Africa, I'll speak for the South African market in general. What COVID has done is actually made people reevaluate the notion that, because generally in schools, in the education system, you are sort of programmed to think of only getting a job. And so a large number of individuals are either employed or were employed. So there was a huge number of individuals who have lost their jobs. But now you can imagine, it's COVID, and you have to start thinking, you get retrenched. You've never put thought into starting a business. It catches you off guard. But even businesses that were were operational, if they did not have the ones that had an online presence and had digitized were able to cope, but those who did not have those systems in place, they've shut down. A huge number of even well-established brands have gone under. And you made mention that you are involved in music, even in terms of artists who used to be able to perform. They stranded, and in terms of events, this is an event we are readjusting to doing it virtually. Before such platforms, in terms of events, it was all mainly just in person, and so the businesses who had not adjusted to going virtual, to digitization, they've suffered severely. And so with that said, I'd like to ask you, especially as an investor, what businesses, well, this is inside information, and I give credit to those who made effort to attend, because you are about to hear key insights. So what businesses would you personally recommend in terms of the industries? Because now, post-COVID, how business is done has shifted completely. What businesses do you think would do well post-COVID, and would you recommend? Because you are an investor, so you've thought about this quite deeply. Although you may not think of all the answers at the moment, but from just the top of your head, which businesses would you recommend entrepreneurs look into to perhaps get funding?
Well, I like businesses that solve a major problem, right? So I like businesses that improve financial literacy. And I like businesses that allow more equality, right? Some that does some service or good that solves a bigger societal problem. I am looking at businesses right now that are able to take resources and scale them. That's important, right? Because the business model, from the standpoint of a venture capitalist is looking to invest in your business and get a return. So those businesses have to really solve problems on a bigger scale, not a local problem, right? So, those are the type of businesses that we look at and try to help, go through the different processes of maturation. So in terms of other industries that I like one of the things that we're looking at, a company right now that does global exporting. That to me, that's a business that also has tremendous opportunity, because even though it takes initial investment, we're all, the globe is one society. Same way we can all share different ideas, different resources, and different tools. I think that, we live in a time where technology allows the world to be really small. So I like food companies as well. There's a number of food apps that we're looking to invest in. People that can take a business, make an app, and food is like one of the major things we all have to eat. They say that we eat every single day, but at the end of our lives, we only remember 5 meals, right? So that's something that I thought was interesting. So it's very diverse, but to be honest with you, the fact of the matter is, if you have a business, whatever industry it is, it's how could you articulate your idea and get people to invest. And that's the mark of a true leader. It's ultimately, if you have a dream, if you're solving a problem and you can articulate that problem in such a way that people believe in you, you're going to get capital flowing into your business. And that's the end result. So I may have certain areas or industries that I like, but it's really not just about me. It's about, how do you articulate as an entrepreneur? How do you articulate your values, your mission, your goal, and what you want to solve in your business? And ultimately, that's going to bring you to where you want to be as an entrepreneur.
Amazing. Thank you for that insight. Now, Donahue, you seem to be quite interested in helping individuals out. Not quite interested. You are evidently someone who loves to give. Where does that stem from? Because generally people have this perception that in order for you to be in business, you must be selfish. You are not selfish. So where does that come from? Perhaps it's an insight that someone can find useful. You are quite giving. Where does that come from?
Well, one of the things that I'm seeing is I don't see people that look like me in terms of our community tapping into and taking advantage on a global perspective, this wealth creation vehicle that's taking place right now. And that concerns me. So my goal, once again, is to make sure that the entrepreneurs, the creators, people that really want to create generational wealth, there's the opportunity for them to accomplish their goals and have access to capital and do things that they want to do to create generational wealth. And that's really my mission. So, it comes from, number one, growing up in a situation where, I could have not had the resources to go to college, right? I could have easily got into either some trouble or not been afforded the opportunity to further my education. And education is key. Financial literacy, improving your financial literacy is key. And the mindset in which you opened up is that we're trained to just go out and get jobs, right? That's what the educational system is teaching us how to do. But we really have to understand that in order to truly create wealth, you must be an entrepreneur. You must be an entrepreneur to have a business that could be set up and create systems in that business that can be passed on to your children and your children's children. That's how we create generational wealth. So I personally feel that passion to just let people know a pathway, let people know the opportunities that are out there, they're going to follow. It's just a matter of talking to people, networking with people, connecting with people, hearing ideas, and then say, look, even if it's a situation where there's an idea that is a great idea, but maybe not great for our company, giving them practical advice to help them along their journey, right? So that's really all that all that you see, and that's really how we have built this whole ecosystem around helping other entrepreneurs get funding, get access to capital, get entrepreneurs to own real estate. I mean, it's really been a journey, and that's my ultimate motivation, is to create more entrepreneurs in the end. And I think at the end of my life, I can honestly say that if I've done that effectively, I would have, in effect, created millionaires all over the globe.
Wow. Now, Donahue, you do quite a few of teaching, especially in terms of entrepreneurship. Is there anything, because you've got the property, you've got the property investments, you've got the fintech company, Money Avenue. Is there anything else that you like to share with us in terms of what you do? Perhaps there's someone in the audience who would be interested in that.
Really, it's just, one of the things that we have to realize, and I have to stress it enough, is that just being an entrepreneur and being in control of your own destiny. The money is one thing, but understand that there are 16.5 million millionaires in the world, right? There's a billionaire that's being created every 48 hours. And let that sink in, right? There's whole countries that doesn't have a GNP of $1 billion, but there's individuals, right? Every 48 hours, there's an individual that has a net worth of $1 billion that is being created, right? Understand the metrics of that. And that's why I want us and I want everyone to start thinking on a different level, thinking on the level of, I need to take it, be a part of that movement, part of that wealth creation. And the only way to do that is that we have to show and teach our children to get involved in coding, get involved in engineering, get involved in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. That's the way of the future. If we're not involved in that, we're going to be left behind. So I want to kind of just, stress that again. I know we touched on it earlier, but it's super, super important, right? Because if we don't push our children in that direction, they will be left behind. So, and I think that that's an obligation that I have to let people know that, this is what I see coming down the pike, and we have to take advantage of it. So now, as far as my mission, it really is just that. It is Money Avenue. It is what we're trying to cross. We're really trying to be the bridge, right? The bridge from yesterday into today to our community, right? To the African diaspora all throughout the world. We have a number of different accounts, a number of different opportunities to invest in startups, a number of different educational resources that we give to businesses to help them along the way. We also have merchant processing, where whatever your business idea is, we allow you to get a business account and accept credit cards or ACH checks, anything like that. It's a full financial solution that we offer. And that's really my focus right now. And our official launch is going to be happening next month. Should be happening next month. So that's something I'm really excited about, Simon, and hopefully, we can connect on that in the future of what's going on in South Africa, and maybe being that bridge and forming that partnership.
No, most definitely. Moving forward, that's the way. They say collaboration is the new innovation, and so when you collaborate, you achieve so much more. And so thank you so much for your key insight. Now, Donahue, I don't know if you have any closing words of wisdom, business wisdom for us, before we ask where people can reach you.
Sure. Well, yeah, just wanted to close on the notion that even though we're separated by continents, it is the same story. It is the same struggle. And the more that we can collaborate, the more that we can connect and do events like this, where we're able to engage. And really, to me, it's like the Black community is global. And if we can connect, share resources, I think that is the way forward in the future. And I want to be a conduit. And I'm open. People can reach me on social media. I'm open to hear ideas. I'm open to collaborate. I'm open to do initiatives, things that solve problems. And that's really it.